I stand here with no illusions and no comforting words. What I bring is truth, sharp and unpolished. Judge Thomas, your apology. I cannot accept it. Hear me say it again, because every word is deliberate. I cannot accept it. And I will tell you why. Your apology was carefully crafted, dressed in calm, polished language. You delivered it as if remorse were a performance, a suit you wear for cameras, a formality to be entered into court records. You said, "I'm sorry," as though those two words could undo the damage, as though they had the power to reverse time. But they cannot. They cannot erase the ink on the papers that carried my name like a curse. They cannot unring the bell that was struck the day my dignity was dragged into a courtroom and treated as an afterthought. Your apology is a whisper against a storm. It does not erase the warrant stamped against me, not on truth, not on evidence, but on assumption and power. It does not lift the fine you handed down without thought, a weight strapped to my back. When your gavel fell, it did not fall with justice. It fell cold, mechanical, indifferent. My life, my future, my name. All reduced to a formality before your lunch break. You never looked at me. You never saw me. To you, I was a file, a problem, a name to move along. And now, weeks later, you bring me your apology, expecting gratitude for your guilt. But your words don't lighten my burden. They don't erase the harm. They are only sound, soft words trying to cover the screaming truth that you failed me. You didn't choose justice. You chose convenience. I will not let you dress the convenience in courtesy. I will not let your apology become your escape. What you offer is not repair. It is not healing. It is a bandage thrown over a wound you caused. You think, "I'm sorry," clears the slate. But it does not. The fear, the humiliation, the broken trust, those remain. You weighed my humanity, my name, my work, my dignity against the demands of those with wealth and influence, and you discarded me. Not because I broke the law, not because I failed morally, but because I was inconvenient. And for that, Judge Thomas, no apology will ever be enough. That's the truth you won't admit aloud, isn't it? You didn't make a judgment based on principle. You made a decision under pressure, behind closed doors, catering to whispers and hidden agendas. You played to those who dine in private rooms and speak in codes the rest of us are never taught. You lent your power, your authority, your robe, your bench, the very symbols of fairness, not to justice, but to their whims. You didn't bend because you were uncertain. You bent because you were complicit. In doing so, you turned your court into their weapon. You ignored the truth and handed them your silence as if it were a gift. You didn't act like a judge. You acted like a broker, trading away my rights, my peace, for their satisfaction. When it came time to rule, you didn't see me. You didn't see the man I am, the father, the worker, the brother, the neighbor. You didn't see the effort, the pride, the struggle behind my eyes. You didn't see a person. You saw a file, a number, a statistic, collateral damage in a system of favors. To you, I wasn't a man. I was paperwork. Discardable. Disposable. That's what you made me feel. Let's call it what it was, a deliberate injustice. Sharp. Intentional. Not an accident, not confusion. A choice. You chose them over me. You believed them before hearing me. You protected their interests while putting mine on trial. That wasn't error. That was betrayal. And now, after all that, you want me to feel pity. To see your apology as brave or meaningful. You want me to nod as if your soft words could erase the damage to my name, my record, my life. As if saying, "I'm sorry," is supposed to make me grateful you noticed the wreckage you caused. No, not today. Not ever. I won't pat you on the back for finding a conscience after the fact. I won't let your tears of regret replace the weight I still carry. This scar, this pain, it's not healed by your discomfort. I am not here to ease your guilt. You demand grace without earning redemption, forgiveness while still holding hands with those who pushed me into the fire. That is not justice. That is not healing. And it is not how I operate. Keep your hollow words. I am not here to comfort the man who stripped me of mine. There is no coming back from misjudgment like that. Not when it carries the weight of a system. Not when it stains a name, a record, a life. This was not a clerical error. This wasn't a slip of the tongue or a lost file in a drawer. No. This was calculated, formal, and public. You signed off on it. You may have looked at me. Or not. But you still gave your approval. You let your authority create a fiction, wrapped it in official language, and called it law. Judge Thomas, the pain of being wrongly accused doesn't fade just because the ink dries. An arrest warrant. Do you understand what that means to someone like me? Do you grasp the weight of it? You gave permission for me to be treated like a fugitive, handed over my name like a warning, told the world I was a threat, that I could be taken by force, dragged into a system that has never had room for people like me. You didn't just sign a piece of paper. You signed off on fear, humiliation, the idea that I could be ripped from my family, my work, my life without cause. And then you added a fine. Monetary, yes, but symbolic too. You reached into my life, my pocket, my time, and declared I owed for a crime I didn't commit. That money wasn't just cash. That was grocery money, rent, hours of labor, dignity chipped away under the weight of something I didn't do. And you didn't even blink. Wrapped in bureaucratic language, words like procedural standard, non-compliance, as if jargon could soften cruelty. But I saw the truth. It wasn't about justice. It was contempt. Quiet, insidious, systemic contempt. Contempt for those without clout, for those who can't buy their way out, for people whose lives aren't adorned with privilege. You may not have said it aloud, but your actions spoke volumes. You treated me like a nuisance, not a citizen, a case number, not a man. You accused me not on evidence, not on facts, but because it was convenient. Someone spoke my name alongside disruption, and that was enough. You let it stick. You let it grow roots in official record. You stamped it, sealed it, signed it, and in that moment you branded me. Branded, because once your court leaves a mark, it doesn't wash off. It clings. It follows. Try applying for a loan, walking into a job interview, explaining to your child why their father's name lives in databases that speak louder than the truth. That brand doesn't fade. It poisons the air before you speak. And worst of all, you did it under presumed guilt. Guilty until I could prove otherwise. That was the creed of your courtroom. Facts didn't matter. Truth didn't matter. My innocence, my voice, my life, they didn't matter. I was condemned the moment I walked through your doors. Your system doesn't protect people like me. It processes us. And that toxic root you planted, saying, "I'm sorry," doesn't pull it out. 2 words cannot undo the damage when the entire tree is rotten. You think remorse erases responsibility. Regret wipes away what you carved into public record and private pain. No. The root is still there, twisted around everything I am, and it will not die because you suddenly found a conscience. You do not get to inflict that kind of destruction and walk away clean. Not in my life. Not in my story. So don't stand before me expecting absolution. You planted this. You nurtured it. And now you must face what it has become. Do you think a few whispered words of regret erase it? That the scales of justice suddenly tip back into balance? No. You must confront the consequences. Not in theory, but in reality. Transparency. Accountability. Recognition that the ripples of your decisions have spread through my life and countless others. Here is what you must do. Brace yourself. You must publicly retract your ruling, not in private circles or among insiders, but in the courtroom where your words fell. Let the record reflect your error. You must issue a formal apology, not behind closed doors, but in full view of those who witnessed your judgment. Let every listener hear you say, clearly and unequivocally, "I was wrong. I mistook convenience for truth. I gave in to elite pressure. My judgment was compromised. I failed as a judge. I vow to do better, and I will." Then, and only then, you must face oversight. Let this process be witnessed. Let the record show that justice is more than a word for headlines. It is a promise. Anything less, your apology remains theater, while the damage remains real. I know your court. I've seen how it bends for the wealthy, leans toward the connected. I've seen how words like justice and due process are twisted, chewed up by the machinery, spat out, leaving trust broken. Trust cannot be spoken into existence. It must be rebuilt, brick by transparent brick. You might say you meant well. You might claim you were rushed. Neither excuse suffices. Justice rushed is no justice at all. Good intentions mean nothing if the outcome is harm. The scales were never balanced. The system did not serve me. It served the powerful. And those words, when your gavel fell, your paperwork filed, they echo still. My reputation dented, my livelihood stalled, fear planted like a seed, confusion tangled me, all from your misapplication of authority, and now you expect me to sweep it aside because you said, I'm sorry. No, I reject it, not out of spite but out of fidelity to truth. If you truly mean it, accept responsibility. Prove it, show it, lev it. Words, however smooth, are not justice. Your apology, Judge Thomas, is not the final act. It is the beginning of what must follow. I will hold you to that. This is not vengeance. It is not bitterness for its own sake. This is a demand for fairness, for recognition, for the fragile but vital trust that binds law to life. You hold a weighty title, but titles crumble. Accountability endures. Here's how I will respond to your apology. I will demand that the court revisit my case file. I will request an open hearing, not one behind locked doors, so every misstep is visible in daylight. I will seek expungement of the warrant. I will demand the fine be rescinded. I will ask for restitution, not of money, but of credibility. A public statement to reverse the presumption you cast upon me. I will bring witnesses. I will bring documentation. I will bring the lived truth of what happened. And I will let the facts speak. If justice is to exist, you must bear its weight, not through whispered remorse, but through public reckoning. Otherwise, your apology is just theater, and theater offered in place of repair is empty. Do not mistake my words for exaggeration. This is real. My life was disrupted, my confidence shaken, my community watching. They look to you, they look to me, they look to this process. All of us are watching. Let your apology mean something. Make it a turning point, not a washing of hands. Confront what happened. Face the consequences exactly as they ripple outward. Your apology must be more than words. Words are easy, weightless. They float into the air and vanish. They make noise but leave no mark unless backed by action. What we need now is not more speeches, carefully crafted statements to preserve your image. What we need is action, restoration, correction, not comfort. You cannot throw a man into the mud and expect him to thank you for offering a tissue. No, you clean your hands first. You reach down and help lift him up. And even then, you do not get to decide whether he forgives you. You do not decide when this ends. I do. If your apology is to mean anything, you must prove it. Show, don't say, show that justice is not only for the powerful, the wealthy, the well-connected. Show that it is not a shield for the elite and a sword for the rest of us. Show that the court is not a playground for those in private boardrooms, while the rest of us stand in line. Plead for fairness and walk away empty-handed. Because that is what your courtroom felt like, a theater where the powerful perform, and the rest of us are forced to act out our pain for an audience that never cared. Let me be clear, this mistake, this injustice, was yours, not mine. I carry the scars, but I did not inflict them. I bear the shame, but I did not earn it. You want to speak of error? Then let's speak of how you failed to ask the right questions, how you took someone else's word over mine, as if my truth carried less weight. Let's speak of how you rushed to judgment, then sat in silence while that judgment became a cage around my life. I will not carry your mistake any longer. It was never mine to bear. I will not pay the price while you walk away calling this a lesson learned. You do not get to grow while I am left to repair what you shattered. That is not justice. That is not closure. That is survival disguised as mercy. You want to make this right? Then hold yourself accountable the way your system holds us. Publicly, transparently, without delay. Do not hide behind procedure. Do not tuck your regret into shadows. Step into the light. Admit what you did, clearly, without excuse, without condition. Apologize not just to me, but to everyone who witnessed, who felt in their gut that what happened here was unfair. Acknowledge in front of them that the court is not always right, that judges are not infallible, that you made a decision that harmed someone, not because it was just, but because it was easy. And then take action, resign the fine. Erase the warrant. Clear my name in the very courtroom where you dirtied it. Let your apology be more than a ritual. Let it cost you. Let it demand something of you. Only then will it begin to mean something to me. Because this isn't just about one man's mistake. It's about a pattern, a structure, a culture of convenience over compassion, hierarchy over humanity. You cannot apologize for a broken system unless you are willing to help fix it. Not from a distance, not from the comfort of your bench, but from the ground where the damage was done. Justice must be for all, or it is justice for none. If that principle makes you uncomfortable, good. If it shakes your seat, good. Comfort has no place where accountability is needed. So, no, I do not want your words, Judge Thomas. I want your truth. I want your courage. I want your willingness to face what you helped create. Because if your apology ends with, "I'm sorry," and not with change, it was never meant for me. It was meant for your conscience. I will not be the one who soothes your guilt while my name still bears your mark. I will not accept your apology yet. That space is for accountability, not closure. I refuse to turn the page until it is rewritten accurately. Apologies without consequences are hollow. The gavel that fell too harshly cannot be mended with gentle syllables. It must be lifted. It must be undone. Your apology, Judge Thomas, is not accepted. Face the consequences. Face the truth. Face the public's need to know that justice isn't bought or sold, that even judges owe the people more than insincere words. They owe us integrity.